let me ask you a question. How do you feel about masks, right? How do you feel about wearing masks? Do you wear them at work? Do you wear them to the office? Do you wear them to the grocery store, out and about? I'll be honest, masks aren't a whole lot of fun. But could you actually imagine being berated at work for not wearing one by your own boss? That is what has reportedly happened to a bunch of congressional senators or congressional aides that were working for Republican Louis Gohmert, right? And so after he tested positive, it came out that a lot of his staffers wanted to wear masks. They wanted to do stuff, but they were berated for doing so in his office. They were discouraged. And Louis specifically was quoted as saying, "Let's set an example for the American people by not wearing masks," which is not setting an example out of all. And he tested positive. And that was months ago. Months ago. And Republicans have been refusing to take the coronavirus seriously, and it is hurting them at the worst possible time, as the president, the leader, the person who embodies the Republican Party, Donald Trump, is now positive with COVID-19. And so what does this actually mean for Trump? I mean, theoretically, he is sidelined for the next couple of weeks, right? Now, of course, he says he's feeling better. He hasn't announced that he's testing negative yet, so we'll see. But theoretically, he should be quarantining for 2 weeks. And that likely sidelines him for the next couple of weeks with the debate, or with the election coming up, and I believe 28, 27 days now. And so that means no more debates. I mean, Joe Biden has said, "I am not debating you unless you can show that you don't have the coronavirus." And so, theoretically, that eliminates at least the next debate. I'm not sure where the last debate after that is supposed to be. But theoretically, that means no more debates. Not that I'm sure that most of the American people would not mind that, but that's a whole other topic. Also, probably no more rallies, right? I mean, theoretically, he could probably do it, but man, you really have to. I mean, it's one thing to have people around without masks on and have a rally and all this stuff, right? But when the guy who is literally talking at the rally has the coronavirus, I mean, who's going to sign off on that, right? I mean, Trump is the president of the United States, but he needs some kind of local coordination to actually have some of these mass rallies. And so, who's going to sign off on that, right? And the funny part about this, if you watched that debate the other day, you know, Trump criticized Biden for wearing the biggest mask he's ever seen, you know? He's like, "Have you seen Joe's mask? Look at the size of that thing." And he's also criticized Biden for staying in the basement. He attacked him for not exposing himself to the coronavirus. And now it's Biden on the road with the election coming up soon, and Trump, who is stuck in the White House. I mean, that's just a little bit of funny irony there for you, right? Biden took this virus seriously the whole time, was attacked for it, and when you look at who's getting sick now, in the last stretch before the election, it's a lot of folks on Trump's side, right? And a lot of key people he needs. Hope Hicks, she's positive. Kayleigh McEnany, she's positive. Stephen Miller is positive, which I know I should be upset about. I should feel, prayers for Stephen Miller, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. But it just kind of shows you that, yes, when the virus could, bite them in the ass the most, it's probably right before Election Day. And Americans are reacting to this, right? Americans are not dumb. And a new poll on Fox News has Biden up 14 points on Trump following the chaotic debate. Now, to be honest with you, I like pulling up polls from Fox News, right? Because a lot of people on the other side, a lot of the Republicans will say, "Oh, that's bull stuff there. That's a ABC poll. That's a NBC poll. That ain't real. That ain't real stuff there. Look at that Fox News. Fox News have real stuff." But you look at Fox News, and now Fox News is saying Biden is up by 14 points now. Kind of hard to argue with that. And of course, this could have all been very, very different, Imagine, if you will, for a second, if Trump took the virus seriously from the beginning, right? I've not been a huge Trump fan. I do not think he's a great president. I don't think he's a great leader. But I'll be honest. If he had taken this seriously from the beginning and said, hey, I know the Democrats have been against me. I know the media has been against me. I know there's been a lot of people who are not fans of mine. But this is life and death, and we need to come together for all the good of all Americans to fight this virus, to fight this pandemic, and to save as many people as possible. If that was the approach he had taken from the beginning, I would have supported him. Right? I don't like Trump. There's a lot of things I don't like Trump. But if he had made this the issue that it should have been and used this to bring everyone together after years of fighting, I mean, that would have been huge. This is the biggest missed opportunity of his presidency. I don't know if you remember or if you were around after 9/11. I know we all have a story about what happened on 9/11, our own personal experience there. But people always talk about 9/12, right? They always talk about just how united Americans were after that tragedy, after thousands of people died in a terrorist attack, right? And that brought the country together in ways that it maybe hasn't been in, ever, if not decades. I mean, I remember polling around with President Bush after 9/11. I think it was in like the 90s. And, people that really brought Americans together. And that was kind of one of the things that helped Bush stay in office in 2004. And Trump could have done that, but instead, he said shit like this.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that.
Yes, inject into the lungs. Right? I mean, like, there's been two kind of things coming out of that. And it's funny, I know when Trump has said something stupid when my phone blows up overnight, and I get all these people saying, well, he didn't actually really say that. He didn't mean that. That was, he's just spitballing there. And I'm like, you know how that's worse, right? And even Trump has said, hey, I was joking. I was just joking about that. Don't actually inject yourself. I was just joking about all that stuff. And I'm like, you get how that's worse, right? I mean, if you just came out and said, hey, I said something stupid, okay, we all say dumb things. It might have even actually helped him politically. Hey, Trump's just a regular guy. He says dumb things like the rest of us, right? But instead, he said, oh, I was just joking. Well, I believe today there are 212,000 people dead from COVID-19. And those thousands of people have, they have a husband, they got a wife, they have kids, they have parents, they got grandparents, they have aunts, they have uncles, they have nieces, they have nephews. And the last thing that Americans want to see is a, commander-in-chief telling jokes at the White House. So even if he was just joking, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And now, again, just weeks before the election, Trump looks like this. Again, that is him gasping for air. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like how his campaign is right now. And his campaign is gasping for air. Right? His campaign is on life support. Things aren't looking so good for him right now. And of course, like I mentioned before, a big chunk of the administration is testing positive for this. Theoretically, there's a couple of Republican senators who are testing positive, so it could cause some problems with Amy Coney Barrett's nomination. And so it caused a lot of problems for him. And if you needed another sign, if you thought maybe you had a glimmer of hope that, okay, Trump is positive for the coronavirus, this is really bad for them politically, this is causing a lot of problems, maybe now they're going to take this shit seriously. Well, take a look at this. This is an article about Mike Pence, I believe his communications director, or his team, saying they don't want a divider at tonight's debate, right? They're saying that, okay, we don't want a divider there, that's ridiculous, that's dumb. Keep in mind that Trump was potentially positive at the last debate. And if he wasn't positive, several members of his administration were. And so, the Biden campaign is definitely taking this seriously. They say, okay, we want a divider. And Mike Pence, instead of saying, okay, yeah, let's have a divider, let's take this shit seriously, is criticizing them. I believe his communications director said, okay, if Camilla wants a fortress around her, she can have a fortress around her. I mean, come on, does that really sound like you're taking this seriously? For real? And it was also announced yesterday, before it was taken back, that Trump said there will no longer be any more COVID-19 negotiations for a stimulus until after he is re-elected president. Remember, he said he is re-elected president. Well, so what he's basically saying is that if you're a small business owner, you're on unemployment because your work has been shut down or you haven't been able to find another job, if you're a hospital worker, if you're a frontline worker and you're trying to get more PPE, if you're somewhere at a local government and you need help because you're about to go bankrupt, Trump is saying all that shit can wait until after the election, because that's what's serious to him. That's the important thing to him, is the election. But if you were taking the coronavirus seriously, why would you do that? And it just shows that Republicans are determined to just put this all behind them and just stop worrying about it. They don't care about us. They just care about politics. And for right now, they just don't want to take this seriously. They want to leave the rest of us to suffer. And that is pretty damn sad. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey, maybe just leave a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics, the news, and all the stuff that's going on in our country?